Road rage revenge. I got him arrested. The minivan was packed. Groceries, Emily's backpack overflowing with half-finished art projects, a lingering scent of lavender from the car freshener. Rush hour was a beast, always a crawl on Highway 17. I gripped the steering wheel, trying to ignore the familiar tightness in my chest. My anxiety had been manageable lately, thanks to the meds, but the gridlock always threatened to unravel me. Emily, strapped in her booster seat in the back, was humming along to some Disney tune. Mark would be home late tonight, another deadline looming. Just me and my girl against the world, or at least against the 5 p.m. traffic. That's when I saw him. A black pickup, jacked up high, was eating my bumper. Headlights blinding, the driver practically kissing my back window. I tapped my brakes lightly, a gentle reminder to back off. Stupid move. The truck roared, swerving into the lane beside me, then cutting me off so sharply I had to slam on my brakes. Emily yelped. Groceries tumbled forward. My heart hammered against my ribs. Mommy, what was that? Emily asked, her voice small and scared. Just some not very nice driving, sweetie, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He wasn't done. The truck slowed, forcing me to slow with him. Then, without warning, the brake lights flared. I slammed on my own brakes, but it was too late. The sickening crunch of metal echoed through the car. Are you okay, sweetie? Are you hurt? I asked Emily. I'm okay, Mommy. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely put the car in park. The driver's side door of the truck slammed open. A man, big and red-faced, stomped towards my minivan. He looked like he could bench press my entire car. What the hell do you think you're doing, lady? He roared, his face inches from my window. Spit flecked the glass. You cut me off, you brake-checked me, I managed to stammer, my voice trembling. You were tailgating me learn how to drive. You idiot, he was practically vibrating with rage. I glanced in the rearview mirror at Emily, her eyes wide with fear. This wasn't just about the car anymore. This was about her. There's a child in the car, I said, my voice gaining a sliver of steel. You need to calm down. That seemed to enrage him even more. I don't give a damn who's in the car, you damaged my truck, he started yelling again. A string of obscenities I wouldn't repeat in front of Emily. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers clumsy with adrenaline. I needed to call Mark. I needed to call the police. I'm calling the police, I said, holding up my phone. Go ahead, they'll laugh in your face, he puffed out his chest, radiating intimidation. I managed to dial Mark. Mark, I need you. Highway 17, near exit 42. We had an accident. There's this man, he's being aggressive. My voice broke. Sarah, are you hurt? Is Emily okay? Mark's voice was tight with worry. We're okay, but he's scary, Mark. Please hurry. While I was on the phone with Mark, the man, whose name I'd later learn was David, continued his tirade. He circled my car, kicking the tires and pointing out the minor damage to his truck. Finally, the police arrived. 2 officers, looking bored and tired, assessed the scene. David immediately switched on the charm, playing the victim. He explained how I had rear-ended him, conveniently omitting the brake check and the aggressive driving. I tried to explain my side, but he kept interrupting, talking over me. The officers took our statements, filled out a report, and that was it. No arrest. No breathalyzer. Just a promise to look into it. Ma'am, it looks like a simple fender bender. Exchange insurance information and be on your way, one of the officers said, handing me a slip of paper. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. This wasn't a simple fender bender. This was assault. This was intimidation. This was wrong. Mark arrived a few minutes later, his face etched with worry. He hugged Emily tightly, then turned to me, his eyes blazing. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? I'm okay, but he got away with it, Mark. He just got away with it. Mark, usually the voice of reason, was surprisingly angry. He pulled out his phone. I recorded some of it. Not the actual accident, but his ranting. His threats. The audio was damning. Clear as day, David was screaming obscenities, threatening to make my life a living hell. We exchanged insurance information with David, who smirked at me as he drove off. I felt a knot of anger tighten in my stomach. This wasn't over. The next few days were a blur of insurance adjusters, car repairs, and crippling anxiety. Every time I got behind the wheel, I saw David's truck in my rearview mirror. I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the incident in my head, imagining what could have happened if the impact had been worse. Emily was also affected. She became clingy and afraid of car rides. Mommy, is that mean man going to hurt us again? She would ask. I knew I couldn't let this go. Not for myself, and certainly not for Emily. I called my mother, Brenda. She was a paralegal, a sharp and resourceful woman who knew the legal system inside and out. Mom, I need your help, I said, my voice trembling. I recounted the entire incident, from the tailgating to the brake check to David's threats. Brenda listened patiently, then said, "Honey, this isn't just a traffic accident. This is assault. This is reckless endangerment. We're going to fight this." Brenda became my rock. She guided me through the legal process, advising me on how to gather evidence and build a case. "First, document everything," she said. "Medical records, car repair estimates, the police report, everything. Second, look for witnesses. Someone must have seen something. And third, consider consulting with a lawyer." I started by documenting everything. I went to my doctor and explained the anxiety flare-up I'd experienced since the accident. He prescribed a higher dose of my medication and recommended therapy. I also got a detailed estimate for the car repairs, highlighting the damage caused by the impact. Then, I started searching for witnesses. I put up flyers at gas stations and convenience stores near the scene of the accident. I posted on social media, asking if anyone had seen the incident. Days turned into weeks and I heard nothing. I was starting to lose hope. Maybe David would get away with it after all, but Brenda kept pushing me. "Don't give up, Sarah. Justice takes time. You have to be persistent." On a whim, I decided to do some digging on David. I Googled his name and a whole slew of information came up. He had a history of traffic violations, including multiple speeding tickets and a reckless driving charge from 5 years ago. He worked as a construction foreman. He had a short temper, according to online reviews. The reckless driving charge gave me hope. It showed a pattern of aggressive behavior. Maybe the police would take my case more seriously if they knew about his past. I compiled all the information I had gathered: the medical records, the car repair estimates, the police report, the audio recording Mark had made, and David's traffic record, and presented it to a local lawyer. The lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named MS Evans, listened carefully to my story. She reviewed the evidence, her expression growing increasingly serious. "This is more than just a fender bender, MS Walker," she said. "This is a clear case of road rage. And with the audio recording and David's past traffic violations, we have a strong case." MS Evans agreed to represent me. She contacted the police department and requested that they reopen the investigation. She also sent a demand letter to David, informing him that we intended to sue him for damages. A few days later, I received a call from Detective Miller. She was the detective now assigned to my case. "MS Walker, I've reviewed the evidence you provided, and I have to say I'm concerned. Mr. Henderson's behavior was clearly aggressive and reckless. I'd like to ask you some more questions." Detective Miller was thorough and empathetic. She listened patiently to my story, asking detailed questions about the incident. She seemed genuinely interested in getting to the truth. "We need more evidence," she said. "We need someone who saw the whole thing, a witness." I told her about my attempts to find witnesses, about the flyers and the social media posts. "Keep trying," she said. "Someone saw something. You just have to find them." I felt a surge of renewed hope. Maybe, just maybe, justice was within reach. Then, one evening, I received an email. The subject line read, "Witness to road rage incident on Highway 17. My heart leaped into my throat. I opened the email, my hands trembling. The sender, a man named Tom, wrote that he had been driving behind David's truck on the day of the accident. He had a dashcam, and it had recorded the entire incident, from the tailgating to the brake check to David's tirade. He was willing to share the footage with me. I couldn't believe it. After weeks of searching, of feeling like I was fighting a losing battle, I had finally found a witness. I met Tom the next day. He was a quiet, unassuming man in his late 50s. He handed me a USB drive containing the dashcam footage. I rushed home and plugged the drive into my computer. The footage was crystal clear. It showed everything. David's aggressive tailgating, the sudden lane change, the brake check, the collision. And then, his rage-fueled rant, captured in all its ugly detail. I watched the footage over and over again, tears streaming down my face. I had proof. Concrete, undeniable proof of David's guilt. I immediately forwarded the footage to Detective Miller and MS Evans. The next day, Detective Miller called me. "MS Walker, we brought Mr. Henderson in for questioning. We showed him the dashcam footage. He denied everything at first, but eventually he broke down and admitted to his behavior." "He admitted it?" I asked, hardly daring to believe it. "Yes, ma'am, David Henderson has been arrested. He's being charged with reckless endangerment, assault, and multiple traffic violations." I burst into tears. Relief washed over me, so powerful it almost knocked me off my feet. I had done it. I had stood up for myself and my daughter. I had brought a dangerous man to justice. The news of David's arrest spread quickly. The local media picked up the story. I became a reluctant advocate against road rage, giving interviews and sharing my experience. David was released on bail, but he knew he was in trouble. He tried to intimidate me again, driving by my house slowly and glaring at me. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I knew the law was on my side. The trial was a tense and emotional ordeal. The prosecution presented a strong case against David, using the dashcam footage, witness testimony, and the audio recording. David's lawyer tried to paint me as an unstable and overreacting woman, using my anxiety diagnosis against me. He argued that I was exaggerating the incident and that David was simply defending himself. I took the stand and delivered a powerful testimony. I described the fear I felt, the impact the incident had on my family, and my determination to see justice served. Mark also testified, corroborating my account and presenting the audio recording he had made. Emily watched the trial, too young to completely understand but old enough to know what was going on. After days of testimony, the jury deliberated for hours. Finally, they reached a verdict. Guilty. David was found guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 6 months in jail, community service, and mandatory anger management classes. His driver's license was suspended for a year. I sat in the courtroom, tears streaming down my face. It was over. I had won. In the days and weeks that followed, I slowly began to heal. The anxiety attacks became less frequent. I started driving again, cautiously at first, but with increasing confidence. Emily gradually overcame her fear of car rides. She started asking questions about the trial, about the mean man and the good people who had helped us. I explained to her that sometimes bad things happen, but it's important to stand up for what's right. That even when you're scared, you can find the strength to fight back. One sunny morning, I was driving Emily to school. As we approached the highway on ramp, I felt a familiar twinge of anxiety. But this time, it was different. This time, I didn't feel helpless. I felt strong. I glanced at Emily in the rearview mirror. She was smiling, humming along to her favorite song. I took a deep breath and merged onto the highway. The road ahead was clear.